Hi logic students, this video introduces the concepts of chapter 7. It's a complicated chapter, but you will see that many things actually come down to fairly simple ideas. The first idea that tends to give some trouble to students is the idea of quantifiers. It sounds a bit like an intimidating word, but in reality a quantifier is something very simple. A quantifier is a word or expression that tells you how many things there are in a certain set or in a certain situation or a certain environment. Basically, a quantifier is a word or expression that answers the question, how many? So if I say there are 5 people in the room, the quantifier obviously is the word 5. Now, from the point of view of logic, as you know from our previous study of categorical logic and the syllogisms and so forth, there are 2 very important quantifiers, and these are the words all and some. So when you use the word all, you're saying that you're talking about all the elements in a certain set, in a certain group. For example, if you say all dolphins are mammals, all is the quantifier because it signals the fact that you're talking about every single individual that is a member of the class of dolphins. Similarly, for some in logic means at least one. So you have to take it a little bit in a minimalistic sense. In ordinary parlance, some tends to mean something like a few. Not all, not many perhaps, but a few. But in logic it's taken in a more basic sense, in the sense of at least one. There are specific symbols that are used for all and some, which are called the universal quantifier and the existential quantifier. And here they are. The symbol for all is an upside down A, and the symbol for some, or the existential quantifier, is a backwards E. Okay, so remember these symbols. I suppose it's easy because the upside down A obviously correlates with the A in all, and the backwards E, perhaps you can think of some as something like this. So you can remember it based on the fact that the last letter in the word some is an E. Okay, so these are 2 important symbols, but this language that we're using in chapter 7 has more symbols that we need to talk about. So here they are. So we talked about the universal quantifier, the upside down A, the existential quantifier, the backwards E. Then there are variables. Variables, these are, just the ones that we're going to use are the letters from U through Z. Variables are symbols that do not stand for any particular individual, but range over individuals in a certain class. So if you write X, basically what you mean is an unspecified thing, an unspecified individual thing. On the other hand, the constants, that is lowercase letters A through T, they stand for individuals. They're names for individuals. So for example, if you wanted to refer to Barack Obama, you could use B, a lowercase b. If you wanted to refer to Scarlett Johansson, the actress, you could just use a lowercase s, or whatever letter is appropriate, or whatever letter you want to choose to represent her. In addition to these lowercase letters, the variables, and the constants. So variables, again, do not stand for any individual in particular. They just range over individuals. So something like X means some unspecified thing. And the constants, which are basically names for individuals, they're also the capital letters of the English alphabet, A through Z. And remember, those were used in chapter 6 as symbols for complete statements of English. In this language, they serve as a slightly different symbol. They stand for properties, for qualities. So, for example, the property of being tall could be represented as an uppercase T. The property of being English could be represented as a capital E. And what you do in this language is you place the individual that the property belongs to, you place it to the right of the letter that represents the property. So if you want to say Barack Obama is tall, then you would say TB. And you read it, B is T. So Barack Obama is tall. If you wanted to say, I don't know, Sean Connery is English, or, well, I guess that's not true, it's Scottish, I guess, but let's see, Winston Churchill was English, you would just say EW, or W is E. Okay, so this is fairly intuitive. You just place the individual thing that the property applies to. You just place it to the right of the property. This applies to the variables as well. If you want to say, some unspecified object is tall, then it will be T of X. And you'll see that we'll encounter, several of these structures here because the variables are used a lot. And finally, symbols in this language include the parentheses, just like in the language of chapter 6. So open parentheses and closed parentheses. Okay, so this rounds out our discussion of the symbols of this language, and in the next video we'll just look at some examples of symbolization. Thank you, and see you in the next video.